Well, she's done great work in her own right, not only as military, but training dogs to help post-traumatic stress disorder. Shannon Walker from the great Northwest, northwestbattlebuddies.org. Shannon, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Wonderful. Great to have you back on our show. Thank you for your service to your country.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for training these wonderful companions to help our service vets.
Just something about dogs.
Yeah, big dog guy here. Okay, fireworks. Obviously, fireworks, pop, 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 pop. You know, anybody that's been through stuff like that, very understandable. That could be kind of tough on them, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously, anything that catches a veteran with PTSD by surprise can trigger a flashback or trigger anxiety. But definitely those sounds of, pops and crackles and cannon fire, whatever it might be, can really, really affect them. In fact, I was just speaking with a veteran yesterday, one of our dog handlers. We've provided 45 service dogs to combat veterans in the last 5 years. And what this particular handler does is he actually goes to the mountains for a week just so he can get away from all of the unexpected sounds that happen before and after the 4th of July. Unfortunately, a lot of our veterans are not able to do that. And so, it's good that you have a show like this that helps bring awareness. Because even though my father was a Korean War veteran, we had fireworks. He wasn't affected. So it wasn't until I started Northwest Battle Buddies that I realized this was such a prevalent issue among our American heroes. And, the more awareness that can be created, the more sensitivity, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we're talking about it.
I mean, it's really hard to avoid. What would a normal veteran with PTSD, what would you suggest they do if they live, among people?
Well, I don't think there's anything they can do to truly escape it, just because in the neighborhoods, it's just so loud. However, the Department of Veteran Affairs right now, the hospitals, there are signs. A lot of the hospitals have signs where a veteran can go and get a sign and put it in their yard stating that they are a veteran with PTSD and that fireworks might bother them. And, because, we're not as neighbor-friendly as we used to be.
No, you're right.
You might have a veteran next door to you. Yep. You might have a veteran next door to you and not be aware that it can affect them, and at least to show the sensitivity to them and let them know that you are aware and that you care. That goes a long ways to helping our heroes that, when they've served so greatly, because just because they're not wearing the uniform anymore doesn't mean they're not still paying a price for our freedom because of the daily trauma that they may deal with the invisible wounds of war that they gained while they were serving.
Appreciate the awareness. Shannon Walker, quickly about your Northwest Battle Buddies. You train dogs. You always need money for that, and there are people that are waiting for dogs, and you're not able to provide because of finances, correct?
Correct. We have a long waiting list. These dogs cost us about $25,000. They are professionally trained that go through 7 months to a year of training, and then our veterans go through 6 weeks of training with us prior to being gifted those dogs, 100% free to them. We are 100% privately funded, and we are always looking for men and women who appreciate their freedom that want to join with us with their gifts and talents to help provide these life-saving dogs to our American heroes.
If somebody
NorthwestBattleBuddies.org.
If somebody, NorthwestBattleBuddies.org, if somebody's listening and said, I'm going to donate $25,000 to you, would you let them track the progress, know about the placement, anything like that? Are they part of it at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely they are. Often we actually, they're very in touch. They get pictures. They keep the updates from the beginning of the dog's progress through when we gain the dog and through all the training, as well as once they meet the veteran. And often the people get to meet the veteran and with their service dog and get to hear their story. It's a wonderful partnership, for our civilians to be able to do that and have a name and a face with that donation and see the life that they've affected.
All right, and again, in our last minute, tell me about a day with that dog fully trained. The vet has been trained as well. What's the day look like? What can the dog do?
Oh, the day is so much better than it was before because they're not alone anymore. And they have somebody supporting them by their side. Those dogs will help if the veteran starts to have a flashback. That dog can interrupt that moment.
Wow.
That dog, almost all of our dogs wake him up from night terrors at night to bring him out of that trauma and then offer that consistent reassurance after the fact. It's just amazing. Every veteran that we have provided a dog for says these dogs are a lifeline and bring hope to a future that is of freedom and independence that they didn't have prior to receiving their service dog.
I tell you what, Shannon, I don't know how you feel about what you do, but every dog you place has the ability to change a generation. So you're talking about 45 changes in generations with what you've done. And I just tip of the cap, Shannon. I mean, this is really, really good stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much. I tell you what, it's an honor. We cannot do enough for American heroes that have provided our freedom. We just cannot do enough as free Americans.
Yep, I agree.
So thank you for letting me talk about it.
Anytime we can help. People can go give money and help maybe buy a dog for a vet, northwestbattlebuddies.org. Shannon, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
God bless you. Thanks for your service.
Fireworks a concern for veterans with PTSD. This is a story with the 4th of July weekend. Fox News contributor and specialist on PTSD, Shannon Walker, with us with the 4th of July just coming up here on Tuesday. There'll be fireworks displays galore going on. Shannon, a good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. Shannon, give us a little bit of your background and how you got involved with this.
Yeah, excuse me, I've been a professional dog trainer for 20 years, and 5.5 years ago I founded Northwest Battle Buddies, and we provide professionally trained service dogs to combat veterans who have PTSD, and we provide these dogs at absolutely no charge to the veteran. And so in working with the veterans and learning about PTSD, we provided 45 of these service dogs in the last 5 years to our American heroes. And, we've had some conversations with them about fireworks and about how the displays can be affecting them and actually, be triggers for trauma and, triggers for, for flashbacks and reminding them of things that in combat, the pops and the crackles. And actually I was just speaking with one of our handlers yesterday, how he copes with this is he actually goes to the mountains for about a week around 4th of July just to find a way to escape, the celebrations that happen. We celebrate our freedom and independence and the men and women who have provided it, and yet they're the ones that, not all of them, but, but many of them, they, it's not their favorite holiday, and they actually want to retreat and get away from it because it's just not a good memory for them, or it brings up, it affects the symptoms of their PTSD, and it's something that they just want to avoid.
Fox News contributor, specialist on PTSD, Shannon Walker, with us about fireworks, a concern for veterans with PTSD. And Shannon, we're hearing so many things about how much dogs are helping with PTSD, and soldiers and sailors and all who have said that this, that dog actually saved their life because they were getting suicidal and all. Can we help them out with this, with the fireworks and stuff of that nature?
Absolutely. If one thing that the VA is doing, a lot of the VAs are providing signs, that veterans can put in their yards, letting people know that you may not be aware that your neighbor is a veteran, you may not be aware that it's going to affect them, and so they can get signs and put it in their yard just to bring awareness, that to be sensitive, that might be something that's difficult for them. Growing up when we were celebrating, it never even occurred to me. That I wasn't even aware that might, our celebration might be affecting somebody close to us or in our neighborhood. And so this is definitely something, even in the last 5 years, that I've become aware of just because, of working with the veterans.
Well, I can remember, Shannon, setting off fireworks as a kid. And my father and stepfather both served in World War II in the Coast Guard. And they didn't see a lot of military action. They were in the thick of it somewhere, but they didn't actually, weren't firing shots back and forth, and it didn't seem to bother them. So it's something that I've never thought about.
Yeah, my father served. He was in the Air Force, and he served during the Korean War time also, and so it's not something that affected him either. But it definitely, for a lot of our American heroes, it definitely is something that can be very traumatic. And we actually have another veteran who has one of our dogs, and, he actually puts one of the biggest parties on the block, letting off as many fireworks as he can. So it really is a case-by-case basis with sensitivity and awareness for us who appreciate our freedom. It's definitely something that needs to be a conversation, and we need to be sensitive to it.
Sure.
Because, freedom wasn't free, and where would we be without our men and women who have served us so graciously and so bravely?
I think we'll
and
be speaking.
I don't think there's enough we can do as free Americans
I
to
know.
serve them and to be sensitive to what they may need.
Yeah, I think we'd
Very
be
true.
speaking German and Japanese now. So, Shannon, where can we go for more information?
NorthwestBattleBuddies.org. We are completely privately funded, and these dogs are completely free to American heroes. They can also find us on Facebook.
Fantastic. Appreciate it, Shannon. Happy 4th of July weekend.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Shannon Walker, Fox News contributor, specialist on PTSD.
For most of us, the 4th of July is an opportunity to celebrate with family and friends. But for some veterans who have experienced war, the sights and sounds of July 4th fireworks can trigger terrifying memories.
Some veterans who suffer from PTSD have a very tough time when Independence Day rolls around. The cracks and pops and booms of firecrackers can actually lead to panic attacks.
The fireworks are triggered just like maybe places, sounds, crowds, whatever it might be. And it just creates tremendous, tremendous anxiety to where they feel they have to retreat and get safe somewhere.
That's PTSD expert Shannon Walker. She says recently she talked to one veteran who gets out of town before the 4th.
He actually goes to the mountains for about a week just to get away from the fireworks before and after the 4th of July. And unfortunately, a lot of our veterans, they don't have that option to be able to totally retreat from getting completely away from where it's even happening.
She says for many, service dogs help. When the dogs sense a panic attack is coming on, they jump in their owner's laps and help ease their anxiety. Ted Garcia, Kogo News.
Well, we do have the 4th of July coming tomorrow. Speaking of veterans, many with post-traumatic stress disorder are concerned about fireworks. While in the service, they're exposed to gunfire, missiles, and bombs that can go off at any given time. Fireworks that go off unexpectedly can cause similar reactions from veterans. Shannon Walker runs a nonprofit that helps veterans with PTSD by matching them up with specially trained service dogs. Shannon, welcome to Trending Today USA.
Hey, thank you for having me on your show.
And this is a very important service that you are providing right now with the service dogs. I've heard dogs are just doing miraculous things with people.
Absolutely. It's just amazing. We've provided 45 service dogs in the last to our American heroes. 100 these dogs go through 7 months to a year of training, and then the veterans go through 6 weeks of training with the dogs, learning how to navigate life, learning about all the laws and everything before they're gifted that dog. And the difference between their life prior to receiving the dog and then after receiving the dog is so significantly different in such a better way. It's just amazing, and it's such an honor to be able to be a part of it and provide such a life-saving gift to our American heroes.
By the way, the website, if you want to find out more, northwestbattlebuddies.org. It surprises me it's a simple solution. A dog can make all the difference in the world to somebody suffering from PTSD. Why is that? Why does a dog make a difference?
Well, especially, dogs do make a difference, but especially a dog that is professionally trained to the degree that our dogs are. Those dogs are so in tune with the handler, and the fact is that, they're not having to go out in daily life by themselves again. They have their battle buddy at their side that is so intuitive that the dog, the service dog can sense their flashbacks or panic attacks and help start to interfere with that moment and help the dogs through it, even through their normal days. But then also, these dogs wake our veterans up from night terrors. And they don't even, it's not that they just wake them up, but they offer that consistent and persistent reassurance directly after. One of our veterans said it best. He says, out of the 16 different medications the VA had prescribed him, nothing had done more for his sleep than what his service dog has done. And it's just amazing. And every time we work with veterans, every time there's always a story. Their stories are all so different, but they're still all the same when they're suffering from this, these invisible wounds of war. And it's just amazing how individual each experience is with their dog. And as we're helping them through that training process, I just love to be able to watch and see. And it's such a miracle watching what these dogs do for them. And it's so amazing to me that it is so uniquely individual, their experiences.
And the 4th of July, of course, I would imagine that spurs on some, for lack of a better term, big business for you.
Yeah, I don't know about big business, but it definitely is a concern where, some of the veterans, they struggle with it. I've never met one veteran that would ever want, us as free Americans, celebrating our freedom, I mean, this is the 4th of July.
Sure.
And so, the patriotism, I mean, all of the veterans that I've had the privilege of working with, they love the patriotism, even though they may not partake in it themselves, just because they do. One of the veterans that has one of our dogs, he actually is spending the week in the mountains just so he can escape it, but yet wishes me the most, the best holiday and celebrating my freedom, but at the same time, some of them, not all of them, but some of them just can't partake in it like they would like to.
Yeah. Once again, the website, northwestbattlebuddies.org. This is Shannon Walker. Shannon, happy 4th to you. Thanks for coming on Trending Today USA.